Manapool, released on June 2nd, 2014, is the debut album by the artist Vaperror. Vaperror has been a vital catalyst to the overall vapor community, and showcases his Vaportrap superiority with this release in his discography, even competing with the untouchable and impeccable Blank Banshee on this one. I refer to Vaperror here as a catalyst due to his ability to always be experimenting with new sounds and genres throughout each of his releases after Manapool, fortifying the notion that it is okay to step into uncharted territories of music experimentation and not to self-label yourself under one genre. Manapool is often summarized online as making you feel nostalgic for a dream that never existed, or for a future that has yet to happen. An odd, transparent portal will open up to your ears upon listening to it as its lonely computer narrator begins to subconsciously step you through to a fourth dimension to revisit those experiences the songs are trying to make you remember. Manapool is an absolute beaut, and whenever I return to the album I still experience those same motions in my head. I am lucky to own both the cassette and the limited 1,000 copy vinyl release pressed by Dream Catelogue. I'm a big vinyl collector, and without a doubt I can say this record I have spun more than 95% of any other record in my collection. I have to give a huge shout out to Dream Catelogue on this pressing, as the wax plays phenomenally. It's a thick, strong record and just straight up bumps with the right stereo system. It helps me get work done, study, relax, and even makes chores such as cleaning my living space a breeze. It's the perfect background to your hectic life that will bring you to a setting hundreds of miles under a never-ending sea, where no aquatic life or plantation exists. Just a very vivid blue, endless void of a lukewarm ocean with an occasional bubble or two sprouting from the depths beneath you. I picture the floating cube on the album to be where you're situated in this underwater emptiness, a safe haven with oxygen that keeps you alive. It's a hotel with no furniture, workers, beds, or anything at all. Just windows that let your eyes venture into the blue distances of its never-ending oceanic boundaries. One thing I've always found extraordinary and fundamental about this album is its chromesthesia, if I'm even saying that right. Chromesthesia, or sound-to-color synesthesia, is when melodies, pitches, notes, and overall sound evoke a relationship with color. Manapool's elegant yet simple blue artwork will always be present in your mind as the album paints your thoughts with thousands of lights, darks, pasty and bold blues. This attribute of chromesthesia really pushes the aesthetic the album tries to create and is just another thing that further complements its unbelievable track list. As previously stated, the album's starting track begins with the voice of a seemingly robotic female introducing you to the album in its startup sequence, and then spends no time with getting you straight to the action. By even the second track of the album, we see Vaporror's music production go to work and deliver the listener with some hard-hitting, liquidy trap-esque soundscapes. Each track instrumentally follows this similar formula, where there's really no stick-out interludes or super slow and calming tracks in the album, which in this case for this particular album, I think it works great. Whether it's a more liquidy sound or triumphant sound, each track is a banger after banger, from tracks like Aqua Domain to 808 Dreams, where the rolling snares, reverb-filled claps, and pseudo-aquatic sound effects never let you escape its wild ride. In my experience and subjective opinion, the album doesn't really tell a story, but better yet brings you to one specific location due to this cutthroat style of track listing, and it has always put this album in a category of its own. I can see where some people can get bored after a while during the latter parts of this album, as it really doesn't deviate from the positional sound style it has chosen. Yet, like I said, subjective opinions will dictate that personal grading for the album. To give an example to better illustrate my point, an album that would completely be an opposite of this one sound style theme, for example, is Hereith by Cat System Corp. Once again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. On this album, we see just about every other song going in a completely different direction as the previous. One song will get optimistic, triumphant, and funky sounding, while the next song could be an eerie, droning vocal lead classic style vaporwave track. In this case, one could find themselves not being able to get in tune with the album due to its inconsistent sound style, while others could like the constant diversity. As previously mentioned, it's all subjective. I plan on doing an album review for this one as well in the future, as it's one of my favorite albums too, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so moving back on to Manapool, another acknowledgement I must make of this album is Vaporror's unique ability to layer so many different sounds at once, yet still stay true to the fluidity this album is trying to achieve with its slimy and watery sound style. I always find myself discovering a new sound when listening to tracks like Surf, the fourth song on the album, that is a grand mesh of trap drums, wobbly, watery painted organs, and what I like to refer to as a sort of screeching, high-pitched squeal that leads the track's main melody. Vaporror never complicates the sound of his work, and doesn't push boundaries when they don't need to be. It's the perfect example of don't fix something if it's not broken. For a debut album, it's amazing to see Vaporror's ability to control himself and filter only the best into the track listing here. Another nice little charm of Vaperror's self-control is also noticed when the album finishes with its mysterious sounding narrator returning, letting you know it's encountered an error and must shut down, ultimately presenting the album coming to a conclusion. The use of the narrator only being in the beginning and the end of the album for a couple of seconds is just enough of a touch for the album for me, and prevents this nice little eerie addition from getting stale. It's another decision I appreciate Vaperror making, as I feel a lot of other artists would plague their work with little additions like this, ultimately drowning out melodic focal points of the song and distracting us like unnecessary jump scares in lazily thought out horror movies, just going with the cliche of a lot of vaporwave, Vaportrap sounding shit. You know the deal. Another pinch of spices Vaperror uses here to his musical recipe, which cannot go unnoticed. For your friends or newcomers who are kind of inexperienced with the various genres of the community, Manapool is the perfect fit for first-time listeners, as anyone could appreciate its picture-painting beauty. Its direct path musical journey is simple enough to follow and makes no parts of it haste or dull. It's straight up exciting. The instrumentals bang on this thing. If you haven't listened to it yet, please give your ears the much-deserved treat the album has to offer. I highly recommend it and can't really find any flaws in it for me personally. Doing so would just be pretentious nitpicking. I'm going to give Manapool an A, as I couldn't think of any other album to be the perfect fit for my first album review. It is one of my all-time favorite albums I've ever listened to in my life, and I hope my recommendation brings it to be one of yours as well. Stay tuned for the future, as I plan on doing a ton of more album and project reviews. I would love to take recommendations, so if you have any, please leave a comment and help out the channel by subbing and throwing a like on the video. Also, a shout out to everyone in the comments and on Reddit for the helpful comments and criticism. I gotta say, it truly means a lot for me, and it's incredible to see my videos resonating with some of you, as I believe a lot of us can relate to the mental experiences these genres bestow upon us. Take care and much love. See you next time. Chennington.